After a 7,000-kilometer intercontinental flight, the first batch of Rafale fighter jets from France have landed in India. On your screens are the visuals of the landing of the Rafale jets at the Ambala Air Base. This is the first batch of the state-of-the-art fighter planes which India acquired from France. The 5 Rafales were escorted by 2 of India's Sukhoi Su-30 MKIs. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh took to Twitter to inform about the landing. He said that the touchdown of the Rafale combat jets marks the beginning of a new era in India's military history. Rajnath Singh said that Rafale will revolutionize the capabilities of the Indian Air Force. The jets were flown by pilots of the Indian Air Force who have been trained by Dassault Aviation in France. The single-hop journey from France to India saw the 5 jets making an overnight stop at the Al Dhafra base near Abu Dhabi. The Indian Air Force took to Twitter on Tuesday to showcase their new acquisition. Multiple pictures of the jets refueling mid-air were released by the IAF. The jets were refueled by 2 French Air Force tankers that accompanied the Rafales.
This is India's first major acquisition of combat planes in 20 years. Why has India decided now to upgrade its fleet?
Well, I think, first of all, it is important to understand that this is actually just a stopgap solution after the unexpected cancellation of a major India-France defense deal last year in April, which would have added 120 Rafale fighter jets to the Indian Air Force's arsenal. So in comparison to 36, that was what, the contract that had been signed today. I think it was a major step, of course, but India desperately wants to expand and replace its Air Force. And I think this was a very important step because it wants to keep up in terms of military capabilities with its neighbors, China and Pakistan, of course. India currently operates around 650 combat aircraft, and a third of those is more than 40 years old. So I think it desperately needs to replace some of its aircraft.
Franz Stefan, you hinted on that point very briefly there, but with a brand spanking new set of planes, this purchase will surely change the geopolitics of this region.
Well, I don't think that 36 fighter aircraft will substantially alter the military balance in South Asia, no matter what the quality of these aircraft is. India wants to almost double its Air Force from 25 squadrons to 45 squadrons over the next 2 decades. So it needs to add, if it wants to keep up its current level, which is 25 squadrons, it will need to add 400 aircraft over the next 2 decades. If it wants to increase its size to 45, it will have to add a couple of hundred more. So 36 is a relatively low number in comparison. Now, the important thing here is that this is still one of the most expensive defense deals for India ever in its history. And one of the facts why they did not buy more Rafale fighter jets is because those aircraft are very, very expensive in comparison to other models, such as the Su-30, which is also operated by the Indian Air Force, or a couple of Swedish models, or even United States aircraft like the F-16 or F-18, which is also considered still by India, because India still needs to add a couple of hundred new aircraft. And I think the most important thing, though, to remember about the Indian Air Force is that it's still desperately short of fighter pilots. So even if it adds a couple of hundred aircraft, it still will need to train a substantial amount of new pilots, which I think personally is a lot harder than to just purchase new combat aircraft.